The stars glimmered against the endless black of space. Commander Zexatora stood on the bridge of the Varix flagship, his 4 eyes fixed on the holographic display of the solar system ahead. The third planet glowed blue and green, a jewel among lifeless rocks. "Target confirmed," said his navigation officer. "Planet matches all colonization parameters. Atmosphere, optimal. Water, abundant. Resources, plentiful." Zexatora's mouth parts clicked in satisfaction. After 50 years of searching, the Varix Confederation had found their salvation. Their home systems were dying, stripped of resources by centuries of expansion and industry. They needed new worlds. They needed Earth. "Begin passive scans," Zexatora ordered. "Stay beyond their detection range. I want complete data on their defenses before we report to the High Council." The massive ship drifted silently near Neptune, its cloaking technology making it invisible to conventional sensors. Or so they thought. Lisa Franklin stared at her monitor in NASA's Deep Space Monitoring Station, a cup of coffee growing cold beside her keyboard. The numbers didn't make sense. The radiation patterns near Neptune showed anomalies that couldn't be explained by natural phenomena. "Alan, can you look at this?" She waved over Dr. Alan Wright, her colleague who specialized in quantum fluctuations. Alan leaned over her shoulder, his forehead wrinkling as he studied the data. "That's impossible. These readings suggest a massive energy source, but it's somehow contained. No spillover. Nothing we have could do that." Lisa nodded slowly. "Nothing we have." She picked up the secure phone on her desk and dialed a number few people at NASA knew existed. "This is Franklin. Authorization code Sierra Echo 97. We have a midnight bell situation." Across the country in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, Captain Peter Grayson stood on the bridge of the USS Arlington, watching his crew run combat drills. The aircraft carrier cut through the waves, aircraft landing and taking off in a carefully choreographed dance of military precision. His communications officer approached with a concerned look. "Sir, flash traffic from Stratcom, priority Alpha. Your eyes only." Grayson took the encrypted tablet, scanned his fingerprint and read the message. His face remained impassive, though his heart rate doubled. "XO, you have the con. Prepare my transport. I'm needed in Washington." 6 hours later, Grayson sat at a round table 100 feet beneath the Pentagon. The room was sealed against electronic surveillance, the air scrubbed and recycled, the walls lined with lead and exotic materials developed in secret laboratories. General Diana Ross, chair of the Joint Chiefs, nodded to him as the last person entered the room. CIA Special Projects Director Kevin Murphy, a man whose existence was denied in official records. "Captain Grayson," Ross began, "what I'm about to tell you has been classified above top secret for 35 years. She pressed a button, and the center of the table opened. A holographic display showed a crashed spacecraft unlike any conventional design. In 1989, this craft crashed in the Alaskan wilderness. The pilot was dead, but the technology was intact. This was not our first contact with extraterrestrial intelligence, but it was our first acquisition of their technology." Murphy continued, "Since then, we've been preparing. The public thinks we're decades behind where we actually are. The International Space Defense Coalition was formed in secret, with only top leadership of major nations aware of its existence." Grayson absorbed this information, his military training keeping his shock hidden. "And now they're here?" "Yes," Ross confirmed. "A large vessel, possibly a scout ship, is holding position near Neptune. Our quantum entanglement detectors can see through their cloaking technology. They think they're invisible, and for now, we want them to keep thinking that." On the Varix ship, Commander Zexatora reviewed the scan data with growing confidence. Earth's technology seemed primitive. Their most advanced weapons were nuclear-based. Their space presence was minimal. Their governments were divided. It would be an easy conquest. "Sir," his intelligence officer called, "we've intercepted and decoded their communications. Most are trivial. Entertainment, news, personal messages. Their military communications are encrypted, but with basic algorithms we broke centuries ago." Show me their military capabilities, Zexatora ordered. The display changed to show aircraft carriers, fighter jets, tanks, and missile silos. By Varric standards, they might as well be fighting with sticks and stones. These humans have only had electricity for about 200 years, the science officer noted. They achieved spaceflight less than a century ago and have barely explored their own system. They are technological infants. Zextora's decision was made. Prepare a full report for the High Council. I'll recommend immediate invasion planning. We could begin landings within 6 Varric cycles. What Zextora couldn't know was that everything his ship was seeing had been carefully crafted. The real Earth military communications used quantum encryption unbreakable by current Varric's technology. The weapon systems they detected were showcased, intentionally, while the advanced defensive grid remained hidden. In the underground facility, Grayson was shown the truth. Project Heimdall, a network of satellites equipped with weapons based on reversed-engineered alien technology. Luna Base, a fully operational military installation on the far side of the moon. The Artemis Protocol, a defensive system capable of manipulating matter at the quantum level. For 35 years, Ross explained, we've been intercepting alien communications, learning their languages and technology. The crashed ship had a quantum entanglement communication device. Once we understood it, we could listen to their chatter across light years. We know exactly who they are, Murphy added. The Varrics Confederation, 7 species united under one banner expanding through their corner of the galaxy. Their method is always the same: find inhabited worlds, assess resistance, conquer. If the natives are weak, negotiate if they're strong. And they think we're weak, Grayson concluded. Exactly. And we want them to keep thinking that until the moment we show them otherwise. Lisa Franklin's discovery had triggered a carefully prepared protocol. Around the world, military forces were quietly moving to predetermined positions. Civilian governments were being briefed on a need-to-know basis. The orbital defense platforms were being brought to standby alert without changing their outward appearance. Captain Grayson, you've been selected to command our first open contact vessel, Ross said. When the time comes to reveal ourselves, you'll be our representative. When will that be, General? When they make their move, we'll let them come close enough to feel confident, then we'll show them exactly what humanity is capable of. Ross's expression was grim. They set their sights on Earth thinking we're easy prey. They'll leave knowing we're the most dangerous species they've ever encountered. As the Earth prepared in secret, Commander Zexatora sent his report to the Varrics High Council, unaware that his transmission was being monitored by human intelligence officers. The message was simple. Earth was ripe for conquest, its primitive inhabitants no match for Varric's might. The response came swiftly. Prepare for the arrival of the invasion fleet. The Varrics were coming in force, confident in their victory over the unsuspecting humans. They couldn't have been more wrong. The great halls of the Varrics High Council gleamed with polished metal and glowing energy fields. 7 representatives, 1 from each species of the Confederation, sat in a semicircle facing the holographic display of Earth. Commander Zextora stood before them, his report complete. The conquest will be simple, he concluded. Their weapons are primitive. Their space presence is minimal. Their nations are divided. We estimate full control of the planet within 3 Earth months. High Counselor Drex, eldest of the Varrics leadership, leaned forward. Resources confirmed? Abundant, Zextora replied. Water, minerals, fertile land, and 7 billion potential labor units. The council members exchanged satisfied looks. This was exactly what the Confederation needed. Their home systems were nearly depleted after centuries of unchecked expansion and industry. Prepare the invasion fleet, Drex ordered. We will begin deployment immediately. Far away, on the dark side of Earth's moon, Colonel Maria Ramirez watched, the alien reconnaissance ship through advanced sensors. The Luna Base was Earth's most secret military installation, built over 20 years using technology reverse-engineered from the crashed alien ship. Movement detected, her sensor officer reported. The alien vessel is transmitting large data packets toward the outer system. Maria nodded. They're reporting back. Prepare for Phase 2. Alert the Pentagon. In the Pacific Ocean, the submarine, USS Nighthawk, cruised silently 500 feet below the surface. Captain Greg Daniels received the encrypted message and turned to his weapons officer. Prepare Artemis missile for launch. Authorization code, Broken Arrow. The officer opened a special panel and inserted his key. The captain did the same with his key on the opposite side of the console. Together they turned the keys and pressed their thumbs against the scanners. Artemis missile armed, the computer announced, awaiting final authorization. In the Pentagon War Room, General Diana Ross faced a wall of screens showing military leaders from around the world. Captain Peter Grayson stood at her side. The Variks have sent their report, she announced. According to our intercepts, they're mobilizing an invasion force. It's time to implement the warning shot protocol. The faces on the screens grew serious. This moment had been planned for decades. But now that it had arrived, the weight of the decision was enormous. All nations are in agreement, said the British Prime Minister. Proceed with the demonstration. Ross nodded to her communications officer. Send the execution code. Back on the submarine, Captain Daniels received the final authorization. Artemis, launch confirmed. Targeting coordinates set to Phobos. The missile shot from the submarine's vertical launch tube, rocketing toward the surface. Once it cleared the water, its main engines ignited, pushing it up through the atmosphere at incredible speed. Unlike conventional missiles, the Artemis didn't rely on chemical propulsion once it reached space. Instead, it used a quantum displacement drive technology humans had developed by studying the crashed alien ship. It could cover the distance to Mars in hours rather than months. Dr. Nathan Cole watched the missile's progress from his laboratory at DARPA. As chief weapons scientist, he had led the team that developed the Artemis system. Now he monitored its performance with intense focus. Quantum field stable, he reported. All systems nominal. Time to target, 3 hours, 17 minutes. In space, the Variks invasion fleet had begun to assemble near their home system's jump point. 20 massive ships, each carrying thousands of soldiers and equipment. Commander Zexatora had been promoted to fleet commander, a reward for discovering Earth. First wave ready for departure, his second-in-command reported. We can begin transit to the Sol system within 1 cycle. Zexatora felt pride swell in his chest. This conquest would secure his place in Variks history. Prepare for jump sequence. Meanwhile, the Artemis missile approached Mars. Its target was not the planet itself, but Phobos, the larger of Mars's 2 small moons. The irregularly shaped moon was roughly 17 miles across, a potato-shaped rock orbiting the red planet. On Luna Base, Colonel Ramirez confirmed the final targeting data. Artemis in position, quantum field generators at full power, awaiting final execution command. In the Pentagon, General Ross looked at Captain Grayson. It's time to show them who they're dealing with. Send the signal. The command flashed to Luna Base, then to the Artemis missile. Its quantum generators spun up to full power, creating a field that extended to encompass Phobos. What happened next defied conventional physics. The rocky, irregular moon began to change shape. Its matter rearranged at the quantum level, atoms shifting position in a perfectly controlled pattern. Within minutes, the potato-shaped rock had been transformed into a perfect cube, each side exactly 17 miles long, with perfectly sharp edges and flat surfaces. The impossible geometric precision was unmistakable. No natural process could create such a shape. It was a calling card that screamed, advanced technology. At the same moment, Earth sent a transmission directly to the Variks reconnaissance ship. The message was in their own language, perfectly pronounced and using their formal diplomatic structures. We have observed you for some time. This demonstration represents our least destructive weapon. Withdraw immediately or face consequences. On the Variks ship, chaos erupted. Commander Zexatora's replacement, Sub-Commander Vex, stared at the cube that had once been Phobos, unable to comprehend what he was seeing. How is this possible? He demanded. Scan it again. Scans confirm, his science officer replied, voice shaking. The moon has been reshaped into a perfect geometric form. The level of precision would require energy manipulation beyond our capabilities. And the transmission? Vex asked. It was sent in high Variks using diplomatic protocols only taught in our academies. They know our language. Vex felt cold fear replace his confidence. Send emergency transmission to the fleet. All units halt deployment. Request new instructions immediately. In the Pentagon war room, the human leaders watch the alien ship's reactions through their quantum sensors. They've stopped their countdown to invasion, the intelligence officer reported. They're sending emergency signals to their fleet. Captain. Grayson looked at the image of cubic Phobos on the main screen. Will they retreat or attack? General Ross's face was grim. Either way, they know now. Earth is not defenseless, we are not prey. And if they choose war, we'll show them what humanity does to those who threaten our world. The warning shot had been fired across the galaxy. The question now was how the Variks would respond to humanity's message. The Variks High Council chamber had never been so loud. Voices shouted over one another as the 7 council members struggled to make sense of what they had witnessed. The holographic display showed Phobos, once an irregular potato-shaped moon, now a perfect cube floating in space. Impossible, shouted Councillor Mock of the Grath species, his tentacles waving in agitation. No civilization could advance from primitive rockets to matter manipulation in mere decades. High Councillor Drex slammed his fist on the table, creating instant silence. Yet they have done it. The question is not how, but what we do now. Sub-Commander. Vex's hologram flickered in the center of the room. The humans knew our language perfectly. They observed us while we thought we were hidden. They have technologies we cannot explain. Options, Drex demanded. Councillor Zith, the military strategist, stepped forward. We have 3 choices. First, we can attack with our full force. We have numbers on our side. Second, we can withdraw and find another world. Third, we can attempt diplomatic contact. The council chamber fell silent as they considered these options. Meanwhile, on Earth, the International Space Defense Coalition headquarters buzzed with activity. Located in a mountain complex below the Swiss Alps, the facility housed military, personnel from 27 nations. Lieutenant Olivia Martinez climbed into the cockpit of the Aurora Interceptor. The spacecraft looked unlike anything publicly known to exist on Earth. Built using reverse-engineered alien technology, it could travel from Earth to Mars in hours. All systems check, she reported as the simulator came to life around her. Beginning. Combat Drill 7. In the control room, Flight Director Sam Wilson watched as 12 pilots ran through the training exercise. If the Variks chose war, these pilots would be humanity's first line of defense. They're getting better, noted his assistant. Martinez completed the asteroid field run in record time. Wilson nodded. Let's hope they never have to use these skills for real. In another section of the complex, Professor Jack Simmons worked with his team of linguists and mathematicians. Wall screens displayed Variks writing and speech patterns. Their response has come in, his assistant said, handing him a tablet. They're requesting a diplomatic meeting. Jack studied the message. Interesting. They're using formal diplomatic language, but there are subtle markers of fear. They're rattled by our demonstration. He picked up a secure phone and dialed. This is Simmons. The Variks have requested talks. I recommend we accept, but choose the location carefully. In the Pentagon War Room, General Ross received the news with cautious optimism. Captain Grayson stood by her side as they discussed options with world leaders on the secure video feed. We need a neutral location, said the German Chancellor. Not Earth, where they would feel threatened, but not deep space where we would be at a disadvantage. I suggest the L5 station, Grayson offered. It's positioned at a Lagrange point between Earth and the Moon. We've been building it secretly for 15 years. General Ross nodded. The station has both human and Variks-compatible environments. It's defensible, but would also show our technological capabilities without revealing everything. The decision was made. Earth would accept the diplomatic meeting. Ambassador Eric Stone was chosen to lead Earth's delegation. A veteran diplomat, With military training, he had spent the last 5 years studying alien psychology and culture. Now he stood in his quarters at the Pentagon, reviewing files on the Variks. Their society values strength above all, he told his team during the briefing. They respect power but will exploit any perceived weakness. Our strategy is to demonstrate enough strength to deter them, without forcing them into a corner where they feel war is their only option. 2 days later, a small Variks vessel approached the L5 station. Earth allowed them to detect some defensive systems, but kept others hidden. It was a delicate balance, show enough teeth to be respected, but not enough to provoke fear. The station itself was a marvel of engineering. Rotating sections created artificial gravity. Transparent aluminum windows offered views of both Earth and the Moon. The design incorporated both human aesthetic touches and practical defensive systems. Inside the diplomatic chamber, air composition could be adjusted for different species. The room had 2 entrances, one leading to the human section, one to a specially constructed Variks-compatible environment. Ambassador Stone entered with 5 team members. They took their positions at the half-circle table and waited. Minutes later, the opposite door opened and the Variks delegation entered. High Emissary Krelvar led his team into the room. His 4 eyes scanned the humans and the chamber, assessing threats and advantages. Behind him came specialists in various fields, science, military, and culture. "Welcome to Harmony Station," Stone said in perfect high Variks. "We appreciate your willingness to engage in diplomatic discussions." Krelvar's mouth parts clicked in surprise at hearing his native language. "Your demonstration with Phobos was impressive. The High Council wishes to understand your intentions." "Our intentions are peace and security for our world," Stone replied. "Your reconnaissance suggested invasion plans. We responded with a demonstration of our defensive capabilities." "A demonstration indeed," Krelvar said. "We were unaware your species had advanced so rapidly." Stone smiled slightly. "That was by design. We have monitored galactic communications for decades. We know the Variks Confederation's methods of expansion." This revelation clearly shocked the Variks delegation. Krelvar's skin changed color slightly, a sign of distress in his species. "How is this possible? Your first radio signals reached our sensors less than a century ago. In 1989, one of your scout ships crashed on our world," Stone explained. "We recovered its communication technology. Since then, we have been listening to the stars while presenting a facade of technological limitation." Krelvar conferred briefly with his science advisor. "And the Phobos demonstration?" "One application of our quantum manipulation technology," Stone said. "We have mapped the quantum signatures of every Variks homeworld. If threatened, we can respond with weapons that could collapse your star systems into microscopic singularities." This was not entirely true. Earth's technology wasn't quite that advanced yet, but after the Phobos demonstration, the bluff was credible. The Variks delegation grew visibly uncomfortable. Their entire assessment of Earth had been wrong. What they thought was a primitive world ripe for conquest was actually a dangerous, technologically advanced civilization. "The Confederation has no desire for unnecessary conflict," Krelvar said carefully. "Perhaps we can discuss mutual interests and boundaries." Stone nodded. "That would be wise. Humanity wishes to join the galactic community peacefully, but we will defend ourselves without hesitation if threatened." As the diplomatic talks continued, news of the confrontation began spreading throughout nearby star systems. Other civilizations that had dismissed humans as insignificant now scrambled to reassess their intelligence. Earth's warning shot had not just stopped the Variks. It had announced humanity's presence to the galaxy in no uncertain terms. The species that had reshaped a moon into a perfect cube just to make a point was not to be taken lightly. News of the confrontation between humans and the Variks spread through the galaxy like ripples in a pond. Species that had never paid attention to the small blue planet suddenly focused their long-range sensors on Earth. The demonstration at Phobos had changed everything. The Andromeda Compact, a loose alliance of trading species from 14 star systems, sent observer ships to the edge of the Sol system. They maintained their distance, not wanting to trigger Earth's defenses. Their mission was simple: watch and learn about this surprising new power. Meanwhile, the reclusive Nexus consciousness, an ancient machine civilization that had remained isolated for millennia, activated dormant monitoring stations throughout the sector. The quantum signatures of Earth's weapons had caught their attention. Such technology should not have been possible for such a young species. On Earth, governments finally revealed the truth to their citizens. The existence of alien life and the secret defense programs that had been running for decades became public knowledge through careful, coordinated announcements. In Washington, D.C., thousands gathered outside the White House as the president addressed the nation and the world. "My fellow citizens of Earth," she began, her voice steady despite the historic weight of the moment. "Today we confirm what many have long suspected. We are not alone in the universe. For decades we have known about other intelligent life forms. We have prepared in secret to ensure humanity's security and independence." Reactions varied widely. Some people celebrated in the streets, excited by the possibilities of a wider universe. Others protested outside military installations, angry about the secrets kept from them. Religious leaders gathered to discuss what these revelations meant for their faiths. Stock markets fluctuated wildly as investors tried to understand the implications for the global economy. Dr. Samantha Park watched the news coverage from her office at the newly established Extraterrestrial Studies Institute. As head of xenoanthropology, she was responsible for understanding alien cultures and societies. "It's a lot for people to process," said her research partner, Dr. Ryan Johnson, who specialized in comparative technology. "Finding out about aliens and that our governments have been hiding advanced tech for decades," Samantha nodded. "And it's just the beginning. The public only knows a fraction of what's out there. The galactic community is vast and complex. They also don't fully understand how different our development path has been," Ryan added. "Most species follow predictable technological progression. They master atomic energy, then develop space travel, then achieve faster-than-light communication. We jumped ahead because of the crashed ship." Samantha turned to the wall-sized display showing data from 27 known civilizations. "And that's made us dangerous in their eyes. We're unpredictable." Their conversation was interrupted by an alert on Samantha's computer. "The Varix delegation is requesting another meeting. Something's happening." On the Varix homeworld, political upheaval spread through the Confederation. Several subject species, emboldened by humanity's stance against Varix expansion, began pushing for independence. Protests erupted on colony worlds where resources had been stripped for the benefit of the core planets. Former Commander Zex Tora, demoted after his failed reconnaissance mission, saw an opportunity. He contacted trusted officers who shared his concerns about the Confederation's leadership. Their government had lied about human capabilities, putting their entire civilization at risk. "I no longer believe our leaders are fit to guide our people," Zexatora told his conspirators. "They are blinded by greed and the desire for conquest. They will lead us into a war we cannot win." His plan was bold and dangerous. Defect to Earth, bringing valuable intelligence about Varix vulnerabilities and the broader political landscape of the galaxy. Using a small scout ship, Zexatora slipped away during a shift change at the orbital defense platform. By the time his absence was noticed, he had already activated the experimental jump drive, vanishing from Varix space. The L5 Harmony station detected his arrival at the edge of the solar system. Earth defense forces immediately surrounded the small vessel, weapons locked on target. "This is Lieutenant Olivia Martinez of Earth Defense. Identify yourself and state your purpose." "I am Zexatora, former fleet commander of the Varix Confederation," he replied in careful English. "I seek asylum on Earth. I have information your people will find valuable." Martinez didn't lower her weapons. "Maintain position. Any movement will be considered hostile." Within hours, Zexatora found himself in a secure room at the Pentagon. Captain Peter Grayson and NSA crypto analyst Heather Wallace sat across from him. The room was specially designed to accommodate Varix biology while also containing any potential threats. "Why should we trust you?" Grayson asked bluntly. You led the initial reconnaissance mission against Earth. Zexatora's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture of honesty in his culture. Because the Confederation is fracturing, your demonstration created panic among our leadership and hope among our subjugated worlds. I bring data cores containing Varix military positions, communication protocols, and intelligence on 17 other spacefaring civilizations. Heather leaned forward. Including information on who might be considering Earth as a target? Yes. You are not the only ones listening to galactic communications, but you are new players. Many eyes have turned toward Earth. Some see potential allies. Others see threats to be eliminated before you grow too powerful. Back at Harmony Station, Ambassador Stone faced High Emissary Krelvar in another tense meeting. The Varix diplomats' color had shifted to a darker hue, indicating stress. The defection of former Commander Zexatora is a Varix internal matter, Krelvar began. His return would be considered a gesture of good faith. Stone kept his expression neutral. Commander, Zexatora has requested asylum under our laws. We are reviewing his case. He possesses sensitive information. Information he has already shared, Stone interrupted, including details about discussions within the Varix leadership regarding potential preemptive strikes against Earth, despite our ongoing diplomatic talks. Krelvar's color shifted again, darker still. He had not expected humans to be so direct. Those discussions were theoretical. The Confederation remains committed to peaceful resolution. We hope that is true, Stone replied. But we are also aware that 3 Varix battle groups have moved to positions just beyond your jump points, hardly the positioning of a purely peaceful neighbor. The revelation that Earth knew about their fleet movements clearly shocked Krelvar. What he didn't know was that Zexatora had provided access codes to the Varix military communication network. In the following days, Earth continued to process the influx of information. Heather Wallace worked tirelessly with Zexatora, decoding transmissions that revealed a complex web of alliances and rivalries among nearby civilizations. The Andromeda Compact is primarily interested in trade, Zexatora explained as they mapped political relationships. They avoid conflicts but control essential trade routes. The Nexus consciousness is ancient and powerful but reclusive. They observe but rarely interfere. And these? Heather pointed to symbols representing systems in the galactic core. Those, you should fear, Zexatora said quietly. The dominion of 7 suns, they make the Varix look peaceful. They have been expanding for millennia, consuming all in their path. If they learn of your quantum technology. He didn't need to finish. The implications were clear. Earth's warning shot had stopped the Varix, but it had also announced humanity's presence to powers far more dangerous than they could imagine. 5 years passed since Earth's warning shot changed the galaxy. The blue planet had transformed in ways few could have imagined. Knowledge of alien life and technology had accelerated human innovation at an unprecedented rate. What began as defensive preparations evolved into a renaissance of scientific advancement. Admiral Peter Grayson stood on the observation deck of the newly completed orbital shipyard. Below him, Earth glowed blue and green against the blackness of space. Above, the massive form of the ESDC horizon took shape as construction drones swarmed around its hull. "Impressive, isn't she?" asked William Daniels, who would soon captain the vessel. "Our first true long-range explorer." Grayson nodded. "When I joined the Navy, I never imagined I'd see something like this. A ship capable of reaching other star systems in days instead of centuries. The horizon represented humanity's new direction. Not just defenders of Earth, but explorers ready to establish diplomatic relations with civilizations beyond the immediate stellar neighborhood. Its design incorporated the best of human ingenuity and adapted alien technology. The quantum drive is performing beyond expectations in tests, Daniels said. We should be ready for our maiden voyage next month. On the surface, in what had once been the Pentagon but was now the headquarters of the International Space Defense Coalition, General Diana Ross reviewed the latest intelligence reports. Now serving as Earth's Defense Secretary, she had overseen the integration of military forces from 39 nations into a unified command. The Varix delegation has arrived for the treaty signing, her assistant informed her. Ross straightened her uniform. Let's not keep them waiting. The Varix Confederation had changed dramatically as well, significantly weakened by internal conflicts after their failed plans for Earth. They had been forced to grant independence to 3 of their subject species. What remained was a smaller but more stable alliance, now seeking formal peace with the humans they had once planned to conquer. In the Grand Conference Hall, Ambassador Eric Stone waited alongside representatives from Earth's leading nations. The room fell silent as the Varix delegation entered, led by their new High Counselor Jex Mora. Ambassador Stone, Jex Mora greeted, extending 2 of his 4 limbs in the formal Varix gesture of peaceful intent. My people look forward to beginning this new chapter in our relationship. Stone returned the gesture perfectly. As do we, High Counselor. The treaty before us establishes not just peace, but the framework for scientific and cultural exchange that will benefit both our civilizations. The document they would sign included technology exchange agreements and mutual defense provisions against more aggressive species. Both sides knew the threats lurking in the galaxy made cooperation more valuable than conflict. Meanwhile, at the Extraterrestrial Studies Institute, Dr. Samantha Park presented her findings to a group of international leaders and scientists. The wall display showed maps of known civilizations and their relationships. The galaxy is not the peaceful place we once imagined, she explained. Many species evolved through conquest rather than cooperation. Earth's unique development path, forced to advance rapidly due to the crashed alien ship, has positioned us differently. Dr. Ryan Johnson continued the presentation. Most species follow predictable technological progression. We didn't. We jumped ahead in quantum physics while still developing in other areas. This makes our approach to innovation and warfare unlike anything the galaxy has seen before. In orbit, the reconstructed International Space Station had been expanded to 10 times its original size. Now a diplomatic hub, it hosted representatives from 12 alien civilizations who had come to observe the Earth-Varix Treaty signing. Heather Wallace showed former Commander Zexatora, now Earth's advisor on Galactic affairs, to his quarters aboard the station. After 5 years on Earth, he had become an essential bridge between humans and the wider galactic community. More observers arrive daily, she noted. The Andromeda Compact has sent trade representatives. Even the Nexus Consciousness has established an embassy. Zextora's skin rippled with amusement. When I first scanned your planet, I thought you were technological infants. Now the oldest civilizations in the sector seek your friendship. Not all of them, Heather reminded him. The Dominion of Seven Suns has increased patrols along their borders. They see us as a potential threat. As they should, Zexatora replied. They have conquered hundreds of worlds through force. Earth represents something they don't understand. A world that prepared for war so effectively, it achieved peace. The treaty signing ceremony was broadcast globally and transmitted across known space via quantum communication relays. General Ross, representing Earth's unified defense forces, addressed the assembled dignitaries and the billions watching. We never wanted war, she began. We prepared for it because history taught us the price of complacency. Today, we extend our hand in peace, but remember our warning. Earth is not a prize to be claimed or a resource to be exploited. We are not your conquest. We are your consequence. The words sent ripples through the gathered alien representatives. In the decades that followed, Ross's speech would be studied in diplomatic academies across the galaxy. The phrase, "We are not your conquest. We are your consequence," became shorthand for the surprising strength of seemingly vulnerable opponents. 1 month later, the ESDC Horizon departed Earth on its maiden voyage. Captain William Daniels stood on the bridge as the quantum drive engaged, stars blurring around them. Set course for the Andromeda Compact core worlds, he ordered. Let's introduce ourselves properly. Lieutenant Olivia Martinez, now the ship's executive officer, couldn't help but smile. Who would have thought? 5 years ago, we were preparing to defend against invasion. Now we're making first contact on our terms. That's humanity's greatest strength, Daniels replied. We adapt. We transform challenges into opportunities. As the Horizon ventured into deep space, other events continued to reshape the galaxy. 3 minor civilizations, inspired by Earth's stance against the Variks, formed their own defensive alliance. The Variks Confederation, once expansionist conquerors, began internal reforms patterned after Earth's democratic systems, and on distant worlds when ambitious generals and expansionist leaders proposed invading seemingly primitive planets, their advisors would whisper warnings about Earth and the species that had reshaped a moon into a perfect cube just to make a point. In the command center beneath the Swiss Alps, a monument was erected to commemorate the moment humanity announced itself to the stars. It was simple, a perfect cube of polished stone with a single inscription. They set their sights on Earth, but humanity's warning shook the galaxy. The cube became a symbol for future generations, a reminder that humans had faced their first interstellar threat not with fear but with preparation, ingenuity, and a demonstration of power so profound it changed the course of galactic history. Earth was no longer alone, no longer vulnerable, and no longer unknown. Humanity had stepped onto the galactic stage not as conquered, but as consequential, and the galaxy would never be the same.